people, and welcome to my channel, Real Serious Productions. I go by the name of Miss EYG, and welcome to my new series. As you see in the description below, this series is called Biblical Stories, A Deeper Look. And basically, in this series, we will be speaking upon biblical stories, but this time around, we're going to be looking much deeper into these stories. We're going to be, this time around, the Most High has led me to I've read about so many Bible stories and things like that, but this time around, the Most High has really led me to really examine his scriptures, especially the Old Testament, and the stories that are being told, and he caused me to take a deeper look. So that's what we're doing. And today's story, we are going to be speaking upon the story of Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, and we cannot leave out Hagar and Ishmael because they go along with this story. So we'll be speaking about a few topics that involves all of those names. We're going to be taking a much closer look, and we're going to be examining some scriptures and learning some things that you might have heard, and a few things that I'm sure you might not have heard, because I didn't know some previous knowledge before I started really examining these stories. So without further ado, before we get into it, make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, and let's hop right into this knowledge. Okay, so we first are going to start in the beginning. We're going to start in Genesis 11. This is where the story of Abraham and Sarah first started. So we're going to go to Genesis 11, and we're going to start at verse 27. Okay? Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in the Ur of Chaldees. That's where Abraham is really from. He's from the Ur of Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. And the name of Abram's wife was Sarai. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah, the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren; she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot of Haran his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from the Ur of Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. Okay, so basically, as we just read, Abraham and Sarah was first my first reading into it. If you look up what Sarah means, or Sarai, her name in Hebrew means princess, or it means beautiful. Okay, and when you look up Abram's name in Hebrew, his name was father of many, or means father of a multitude. And I wanted to, it was upon some of my research, so I just wanted to make that known. So yeah, as we see, this Abraham and Sarah, we all know they were husband and wife. When you get to Genesis 20:12, we will be reading that scripture, but a little bit later on, for another topic. But when you get to that scripture, it also lets us know that they weren't just husband and wife; they were also brother and sister. But like I said, we're going to talk more on that topic a little bit later on. And we see that it says that she was barren, right? So we all know that Sarah was barren at a point in time and she had no children. Okay, so this is what we got in the complete first mention of Abraham and Sarah. You know, they were husband and wife. They came from the year Chaldees, and they were bringing out to go into the land of Canaan, right? And we know that Sarah was barren. Okay, so let's. Okay, so upon my research, and digging deep and really, really paying attention to this story in particular, I noticed something that I never noticed before. Like I said, I've read this story of Abraham and Sarah many, many times, but it's something about this particular time. The Most High led me to kind of open my eyes a little bit more as to what I was reading. And I start noticing things that I didn't notice before. And upon one of those things that I noticed was, if you guys read the story of Abraham and Sarah, it seems to have had two stories of when they came in contact with a pharaoh or a king, and Abraham and Sarai told the king that they were brother and sister, but did not tell them that they were husband and wife as well. It seems to have been two stories. One story in chapter 12, Genesis chapter 12, 9 through 20. And the other is Genesis 20, verse 12. So we're going to read both of those, and we're going to actually looking more into it, because when I further read both of them, I realized that both of these stories seem too similar to each other, right? They were way too similar to one another. So, which led me to believe that there was only one instance. It's like it was one story that was broken up into two pieces, but if you really, really look at it, it's only one story. So it only one time that I believe that they came in contact with this king. And I'm gonna show you exactly why that I say that. So let's go to the first instance. Like I said, it's going to be in Genesis 12. And then we're going to start all the way in chapter 9. Okay? And it reads, And Abram journeyed going on still toward the south. This is when the Most High told him to flee from his family, flee from his land that he had known, take Sarah his wife, and he told him to just take Sarah, his wife, and flee from this land that he's already known, right? But of course, he didn't listen. He took Lot, he took Lot's wife, and he took a number of people with him, and not just him and Sarah. But that's another topic. And Abram journeyed going on still towards the south, and there was a famine in the land. And Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, and they shall say, This is his wife. This is his wife. And they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, that art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, and the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair, she was very, very beautiful. The princes of Pharaoh saw her, and commanded her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep, ox, his asses, servants, and maidservants, and she-asses, and camels. So this is a trade going on, right? He gave Abraham right here this trade. He said, okay, well, since she's just your sister, I'm going to trade you. I'm going to give you all these oxes and camels and maid servants and servants to be able to take her as my wife, right? So he traded her for these things. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to that, because we're going to see it again. And the Almighty Yah plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Remember that too. He plagued Pharaoh's house. It doesn't say exactly what kind of plague, but it says that he plagued his household because of Sarah, right? This is what the Most High did. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this thou hast done unto me? Why didst not tell me that she was thy wife? Why sayest thou, She is my sister? I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore, behold thy wife, take her and go away. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning them, and they sent them away, and his wife and all that he had. Okay, so notice here that it says that the Pharaoh, when these plagues came upon him and his household, and he came back to Abraham and said, Why didn't you tell me this was your wife? Why did you do this to me? You caused all these plagues to come upon my household. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? This is what he said. Notice that he didn't say how he found out. Yeah, he said it was plagues in the household, but how did he specifically find out that Abram and Sarai were husband and wife? Notice how it doesn't say in this patch here, in this scripture here, in this chapter 12, it does not say how he found out here, right? So I want you guys to keep that in mind too, okay? So let's go to the second instance, which is chapter 20. Okay, it's chapter 20. Abraham deceives Abimelech. And Abraham, now his name is Abraham now. This is after the name change. So this is after he married, because sex was marriage. So this is after the conception with Hagar, the Egyptian. And they just came from Egypt, where all these maidservants and this trade happened, where Abraham was given maidservants and servants. And now this was after he slept with Hagar, the Egyptian, right? Keep that in mind. And Abram journeyed from thence toward the south country. Remember in the previous chapter that I just read, said he was going south as well, right? And dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar, okay, which is basically on the border of Egypt. So remember that in chapter 12, it said that he journeyed, or he fled to Egypt. Here, it's saying basically the same thing. He's going to the border of Egypt. How is he fleeing and going to Egypt not once but twice? Okay. And Abram said to Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. And the Almighty Yah came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. So here, the king is being shown by the Most High in a dream that this is not a woman that you should be taking, because she's another man's wife. So here, it's saying that this is how this king found out, because the Most High came to him in a dream saying, Don't touch her, this is another man's wife, right? But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Master, wilt thou slaves also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, She is my sister, and she herself said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and in the innocency of my hands have I done this. And the Almighty Yah said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in integrity of thine heart, for also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. So the Most High is saying, he said to the Most High, well, I didn't know that this was, they both told me that they were just brother and sister, and I'm innocent. And the Most High said, yeah, I know that you didn't mean to do this, but this is why I'm coming to you in this dream, so that it can keep you from sinning against me, because I know that you're a righteous person. I know that you're a righteous man. This is what the Most High is saying to Abimelech, this king, this Pharaoh, in this dream, to keep him from touching Sarah, which is Abraham's wife, right? Now therefore restore the man his wife, and he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know that thou shalt surely die, and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears. The men were sore afraid. When Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, Why hast thou done this unto us? See? And what has I offended thee that thou brought? Why did you bring this on upon me, and upon my kingdom a great sin? Thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? He's asking Abraham, why did you do this to me? I have done anything wrong to you. Why did you bring this upon me? Why are you trying to cause me to sin? And Abraham said, Because I thought surely the fear of the Almighty Yahuwah is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And yet, indeed, she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. See here that they are brother and sister. It says it right there in verse 12. That they are brother and sister. They are brother and sisters through their father, not their mother. And it came to pass, when Yahuwah caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said unto her, This is thy kindness which thou shalt showeth me unto me. In every place whether we shall come, say of me, He is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep, ox, manservants, womenservants, and gave them unto Abram, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thee, dwell where it pleaseth thee. And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is thee a covering of the eyes unto all that are thee, and all the others. Thus she was reproved. So Abraham prayed unto the Almighty Yah, and Yahuwah healed Abimelech and his wife. Abimelech already had a wife, so he's trying to take Sarah as a concubine? I didn't notice that before. But Abimelech, and the Most High healed Abimelech and his wife, and his maidservants, and they bore children. For the Almighty Yah hath fast closing up the wombs of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. So, we see here that there was a plague because of Abraham and Sarah lying to this king, and there came plagues upon the house, just like the previous one. It didn't say specifically which plague, but here it says the plague was, he made women barren. He made them not be able to conceive because Sarah was there. So that's a similarity there. Before it didn't say which kind of plague, but here it says that the plague was barrenness, right? So this is why I say that these two stories have to be as one story. This story was broken up. It had to have been broken up, right? Both of them basically are stating that Abraham was fleeing and going to Egypt. Both of these stories are pretty much saying he was going to Egypt when he ran into the Egyptians, right? Both of these stories have accounts of trades going on the account of Sarah. The previous, in chapter 12, says that the king or the Pharaoh traded with Abraham before he took Sarah. This story in chapter 20 says that the trade went on in order for Abraham to get Sarah back, right? So I thought that was pretty, odd. I'm like, okay. Like I said, you could see that, And you can see that I just read that Abimelech already had a wife. He was trying to make Sarah one of his concubines. And like I said, also, he came to Abimelech in a dream. So how did the king once before knew about Sarah and Abram being husband and wife? But here it says, the Most High came to you as a dream. So why didn't it say that in the first one? He didn't just automatically find out that Abraham and Sarah were husband and wife. It didn't make sense. Okay, and here is a little bit more. So if you guys didn't know, I'm going to read a scripture from the book of Jasher, which is one of the taken out books of the Bible. And I recommend you guys, the book of Jasher also the book of Enoch is so much knowledge, is so much that was, especially in the New Testaments, not the New Testament, sorry, the Old Testaments, there was so much taken out, and it was a lot that could piece together for you and make way much more sense when you read these books that were taken out. Also, the Apocrypha, that is a great book as well. But the book of Jasher, for the sake of this video, has so much knowledge in it, and it ties in so many stories that really didn't make sense to me. And I know that it would do the same for you. So this is another reason why I said that I don't believe that this happened twice. I believe that this instance was just one instance that was broken up into two instances where they came in contact with this king. Okay? So I'm going to go to book of Jasher, chapter 15. And then I'm going to go to 16. And as Sarah was in the custody of this king, this is what happened. Okay? And the woman was brought to Pharaoh's house, and Abram grieved on account of his wife, and prayed to the Almighty Yahuwah to deliver her from the hands of Pharaoh. And Sarai also prayed at this time and said, O Yahuwah, Father, thou didst tell my master Abram to go from his land and from his father's house into the land of Canaan, and thou didst promise to do well with him if he would perform thy commands. Now behold, we have done that which thou didst command us, and we left our land and our families, and we went to a strange land, to a people who we have known not before. And we came to this land to avoid the famine, and this evil accident has befallen me. Now therefore, Almighty Yahuwah, deliver us and save us from the hand of our oppressor, and do well with me for thy sake of thy mercy. And the Almighty Yahuwah hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Yahuwah sent an angel to deliver Sarai from the power of Pharaoh. And the king came and sat before Sarai. And behold, the angel of the Almighty Yah was standing over them. And he appeared to Sarai and said unto her, Do not fear, for the Almighty Yahuwah has heard thy prayer. And the king approached Sarai and said to her, What is that man to thee? Who brought thee hither? And she said, He is my brother. And the king said, It is incumbent upon us to make him great, to elevate him, and to do unto him all the good which thou commands us. And at this time the king sent Abram silver and gold and precious stones and abundance, together with cattle, men servants, maid servants. And the king ordered Abram to be brought, and he sat in the court of the king's house, and the king greatly exalted Abram on that night. Okay. Okay, so if we go down, I'm going to talk about, let's talk about that first. So what happened there? So what happened there first was, as before, Abraham and Sarah said a prayer together to the Most High. But the Most High answered Sarah. And the angel came to Sarai or Sarah and said, "Fear not, the Most High has heard thy prayer." He didn't say this to Abram. So maybe he was upset with Abram because Abraham, instead of having faith in the Most High, he actually feared. He even said it. He said, "I feared." He said in Genesis, "I feared that the Most High's what does he say? Because he said he feared that the fear of the Most High was not in this place, so that's why he lied to the king. Well, he didn't lie, but he didn't tell him the whole truth about him and Sarah being husband and wife. So instead of having complete faith in the Most High, maybe the Most High was angry with Abram and didn't actually answer him directly, because he didn't have complete faith in the Most High to tell the truth to the king. Instead, he allowed himself to doubt, and that's where all this started to unfold, right? And so an angel came to Sarai, and she was later she was being let go. But again, it's another scripture here that I just read about another trade going on. So, but we're going to go down and we're going to I'm going to tell you more why I think that. So, if you go to Jasher, we're going to go down to 30. Joshua 15:30. Now therefore, here is thy wife, take her and go from our land, lest we die on her account. And Pharaoh took more cattle and men and maidservants and silver and gold to give to Abram, and he returned them unto Sarai his wife. And the king took a maiden and begat concubines, and he gave Sarai for a handmaid. So this king gave Sarah the handmaid. This is how Sarah ended up with Hagar, because Hagar was the Egyptian. Where are they now? They are in Egypt, and they are among this Egyptian Pharaoh, right? So he's the one who gave Sarah this handmaid, right? And as if you look in chapter 20, this is where this happened. But chapter 20 is after, like I said before, is after the situation with Hagar. So, if you see all these similarities to both of these stories and draw the conclusion, it really would lead you to believe that this story only happened once. To see, and I'm knowing, if you really think about it, how faithful and how much of a servant that Abraham was to the Most High Yah, I doubt that he would go through this entire experience of being doubtful, to have his wife being taken, and he has to go through all of these things just to get her back and things like that. He's prayed and cried out to the Most High in order to allow the Most High to come in and move on their behalf, to have her delivered from the hands of the Pharaoh and back into his whole household. I doubt that Abraham would make the same mistake twice. Being as a faithful servant as he was with the Most High Yah, I'm not saying that it's completely out of the picture. I'm saying that this seemed like a test of faith to Abraham, right? So, especially so early on, that he would make that mistake more than once. And once in chapter 12 and then again in chapter 20. It doesn't make sense. It's either had to have happened once, which was before, chapter 12, or it could have happened after being chapter 20, because Hagar was already in the picture by the time you get to chapter 20. Hagar and her being given to Abraham, that's why his name was changed to Abraham, was by chapter 16. So chapter 20 had to have been added with chapter 1. I mean, not chapter 1, chapter 12. You see what I'm saying? Because there's so many similarities. Okay, this chapter 12 says that he fled to Egypt, and so the chapter 20 says that he fled to Egypt. Chapter 12 said there was trades for Sarah. Chapter 20 also says there's trades for Sarah. You know? It was a plague that was brought upon the king in chapter 12. Chapter 20 said the plague was barrenness for the women that was brought in the household of the Pharaoh. You know? So it's too many similarities to say that, okay, well, this had to have been two different stories. So that's just my take on it, you know? But let me know what you guys think upon that. So we're going to move on to the next subject. Okay, so the next subject that we are going to get into in full depths, that the Most High actually allowed me to look deeper into this time around. All praises to the Most High for this knowledge and for allowing me to see these things that I really wasn't paying close attention to before. Is how serious of the emotions and the beef between Sarah, or Hagar had gotten. It was pretty serious. And I said that to say because I was a woman that went through a very similar experience. And I remember asking myself these questions when I read it in Genesis. I remember asking, well, I wonder, how did Sarah feel this way? Or did Hagar feel that way? Or I know how I felt in the situation. And I wanted to know, like, okay, well, if I know I'm their descendants, one of their descendants, so Sarah's descendant. And I'm like, well, you know, if I feel this certain way, it only makes sense for, you know, everything that they do is passed down to us, right? But I wasn't really exactly for sure until I read these stories. So we're going to go to chapter 16, Genesis. And we're going to start at verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children. And she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Almighty Yah hath restrained me from bearing. And I pray thee, go into my handmaid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. Instead of standing firm and said, no, I'm going to wait on the Most High. This is another mistake that Abram did. Much like Adam with Eve, he listened to the voice of his wife instead of standing and like, nope, we're going to wait on the Most High. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram, and dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her husband Abraham to his wife, to be his wife. Sorry. So she took Hagar, whether Hagar wanted to or not, because Hagar was her maidservant, right? She was her servant, so she had to do whatever Sarah told her to do. So it says that she took Hagar, literally, no matter what if she wanted to lay down with Abram or not, it didn't matter. Sarah took her, gave her to Abraham, said, hey, make her conceive, right? And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid unto thy bosom. And when she saw she conceived, I was despised in her eyes. And the Almighty Yah judged between me and thee. And Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do with her as it pleases thee. And Sarai dealt hardly with her, and she fled from her face. Now, in this instant, this is another mistake that Abram made. Sarah said, you know what? I made you have a child with her, but as soon as she conceived, she started to come despised in my eyes, meaning that, you know, she probably wasn't listening to her anymore. She probably felt like she had the upper hand, right? That, you know, she's the one who's conceived now, so she's taken the place of being a wifely duty, because she feels like she has this upper hand now. She conceived, Sarah didn't. And Abraham is saying, well, she's still your maidservant. She still has to, do with her as you please. And that's a mistake that he made, because it caused her to feel, okay, well, since I'm threatened by the fact that she's not listening to me, or that she feels a different way, I'm going to deal with her harshly. I'm going to do wrong to her. I'm going to be, whatever you call it. I'm going to be mean to her. I'm going to be evil to her. And she was, because she caused Hagar to flee, right? She caused her to flee from her face, and she ran in the wilderness. And the Most High had to speak with her and send his angels to speak with her and tell her, I see what's going on. I'm still going to bless your child, but go back to Sarah. Go back to her, because you're still her maidservant. Which she did, okay? But let's go. We're going to go to the book of Jasher. Back to the book of Jasher. We're going to go to 16. And we're going to see exactly how this beef, it got really, 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 really bad. Like, between these two women. Like, they were feeling some type of way. So, the book of Jasher. Okay, the book of Jasher 16:29 through 33. And when Hagar saw that she had conceived, she rejoiced greatly, and her mistress was despised in her eyes. He had said that in Genesis. And she said within herself, this can only be that I am better before Yahuwah than Sarai, my mistress. For all the days that my mistress has been with my master, she did not conceive. But the Almighty Yahuwah has caused in me so short a time to conceive by him. So this is Hagar. She is saying she started to be prideful here. She started to like, oh, okay, well, it means that I'm better before the Most High, not Sarah. Me, I'm better, because in such a short time, I was able to conceive by Abraham. Not her, but me. So she started to think this pride of herself. This is why it says that Sarah began to be despised in her eyes. Like, she didn't feel like, Sarah had the upper hand anymore. She got this pride about herself. Verse 30, and when Sarai saw that Hagar had conceived by Abram, Sarai was jealous of her handmaid. And Sarai said within herself, this surely nothing else, but she must be better than I. So Sarai, or Sarah, she got this, oh, woe is me attitude. Like, okay, well, she must be better than me. She got jealous, right? She got jealous because she saw how quickly Hagar had gotten pregnant, or was able to conceive, knowing that she had been with Abraham for so long and she has not conceived. So she got really jealous, right? And then mixed in with Hagar having this pride and the two bumping heads, this is why what caused her to deal harshly with her, right? And Sarai said unto Abram, my wrong be upon thee, for at this time when thou didst pray before the Almighty Yahuwah for children, why didst thou not pray on my account, that the Almighty shall give me seed from thee? And when I spake to Hagar in thy presence, she despised my words, because she has conceived. And thou wilt say nothing to her. May the Almighty Yah judge between me and thee for what thou hast done to me. And Abraham said to Sarai, behold, thy handmaid is in your hand. Do to her as it may seem good in our eyes. And Sarai afflicted her, and Hagar fled from her to the wilderness. Okay? So, as we saw in Genesis, she starts speaking with Abraham and said, okay, she's not listening to me anymore. She's gotten prideful. She's not listening to me more. Why didn't you pray for me that I can be able to conceive? And all these things. And again, he told her, he's like, you know what? She's still your handmaid. You still do to her. You can do to her as you please. And that was a mistake, because he caused her to start treating her wrong, which made Hagar flee into the wilderness. But mind you, keep in mind as well that the Most High never told Sarai to do this. Many a time we're going to get into that Next, a little later on, the Most High had already forewarned Abraham. He said, I'm going to make you a father of many nations. I'm going to make you many, like he said, your seed is going to be as countless as the sand, and it's going to be countless as the stars in the sky, right? And he told Abraham this repeatedly. Like I said, we're going to get to it in a little bit later on. But despite the Most High saying this, they still they were impatient. They grew impatient because they're getting old of age, so they lost faith in the Most High doing this. So they thought, Sarah thought to herself, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to cheat my way into motherhood. I don't want to wait on the Most High anymore. This is probably what the Most High means. Make me have children through my handmaid. This was not said from the Most High to either Abraham or Sarah. This was Sarah in her own mind, in her own thinking, because she's tired of waiting and being patient. She wanted to go about this on her own with her own understanding, and it backfired. It backfired drastically, because that's why Hagar grew this pride. That is why Hagar wasn't listening to her anymore, because none of this was supposed to really happen. They were supposed to wait on the Most High, but they got impatient and tried to do this on their own accord. And as we see, it backfired, and it backfired hard on Sarah. Okay, she's like, nope, nope, they gotta go, because this is what the Most High does. When you go along with his plan, he'll bless you. But when you go along and try to do something that's other than what he told you to do, or do something off on your own, he's gonna punish you for it. He's gonna punish you for it. And then you get to Genesis 17:5 through 15, when the Most High changed Abram's name to Abraham, and he changed Sarai's name to Sarah. But one thing I want to point out before we go to, the next topic is we're going to go to, like I said, Genesis 17. I'm going to go to verse 17. And this is something that I'd never noticed before. Actually, we're going to start at 16. No, 15. And the Almighty Yahuwah said unto Abram, As for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. And 17 is really where I didn't really notice it before. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarai, or Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear? So that was quite interesting to me, because when you get to the next chapter, chapter 18, verse 15, it says Sarah laughed. Sarah laughed. So when I read that, I immediately remembered all the times I have read the story of Sarah and Abraham. I always remembered them saying, Sarah laughed, Sarah laughed, Sarah lacked faith, Sarah lacked faith, Sarah laughed, Sarah laughed. But I never really heard of Abraham laughed. So he actually laughed and didn't believe and didn't have faith in the Most High doing this first. He didn't believe that it could happen first. And then when you get to the next chapter, that's when Sarah laughed within herself. And then she tried to act like she didn't, and the angel of the Most High said, no, you did laugh. So I thought that was quite interesting, because that's something that I really didn't pick up on reading it. So Abraham laughed before Sarah, then Sarah laughed, basically being in disbelief, and they didn't believe the Most High's word of saying that they didn't think this was going to happen. They didn't think that he was going to do what he said he was going to do, which was give them a child in their old age. So neither one of them believed at that point. So that was my reason for saying that. Okay, so the next topic that we're going to get to when it comes to this story, that the Most High led me to further look into, right, And that is the whole sacrifice of Isaac. And what I don't believe, after reading and researching, I don't believe that this was of the Most High. It wasn't of the Most High to ask to Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. It was not of the Most High. And if anything is not of the Most High, as we should know by now, it's only from Satan. So the Most High didn't ask for this sacrifice, but Satan asked for it, or tried to get it to happen. And we're going to dig really deep, and I'm going to show you why exactly I say that. Okay, so before I get more into it, for the sake of the time of this video, there are a few scriptures that the Most High said, quite a few, right? When he said that he knew us before we were formed in our mom's belly. He knew what we were going to be before we even, we were born, right? For the sake of this video, the time length, I'm trying to keep it very brief. I will not get into all those scriptures because I got a lot to cover. But the scriptures that actually says that are Jeremiah 1:5, Psalms 139, verses 13 through 16, Isaiah 49, verses 1 through 5, Job 31, verse 15, Galatians 1, verse 15. Okay? So these are all the scriptures that told us what the Most High had planned. Like, he has a plan for every single child that he makes conceivable in your womb, right? He knows us before we're formed in our mom's belly. That's what those scriptures are saying. But let's go to the actual sacrifice of what Genesis said the sacrifice is. So we're going to go to Genesis 22, and it's going to be verse 1. We're going to start at verse 1. And it came to pass, after these things, the Almighty Yah did tempt Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell of thee. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up, and went into the place of the Almighty Yahuwah that had told him. Right? So, there you see that the Most High says that the Most High tempted Abraham, right? It says it tempted him for this sacrifice. So we're going to go back to the book of Jasher. So I want you guys to pay attention. I do not want to lose anyone because it's a lot that I'm going to show you when it comes to this supposed sacrifice. So Jasher 22, I'm going to start at 54. Here is the conversation that the Most High was having with Satan. If you read the book of Job, you know that the Most High gave Satan the permission to test Job, to see where his heart lied, right? To see if he would forget about the Most High, basically. So this is the same exact thing if you read this chapter, but I'm only going to read these 2 verses here. And the Almighty Yah said unto Satan, Hast thou not considered thy servant Abraham? For there is none like him upon the earth, a perfect and an upright man before me, and one that feareth the Almighty Yahuwah and avoideth evil. As I live, where I say unto him, if I say unto him, Bring up Isaac, thy son, before me, and he would not withhold him from me, which more if I told him to bring up a burnt offering before me from his flock or the herds. And Satan answered the Almighty God and said, Speak then now unto Abraham, as thou hast said, and thou wilt see whether he will not this day transgress and cast thee aside thy words. Okay, so reading that along with Genesis chapter 22, one would automatically think, okay, well, the Most High, he's basically doing, he's testing us. He's gonna see if you're gonna, fall away from him, or you're gonna actually listen to what he said. And one will think, okay, well, he asked him to sacrifice Isaac just to see where his heart lies, just to see if he can, if he's going to keep his word, or if he's going to keep what he's doing. But if you really look, we're going to look more into it while I say this was not done by the Most High. This was not from the Most High, because it's a contradiction of what he actually said. And I don't believe anywhere in my heart that the Most High is going to contradict anything that he says. So I feel like it's some foolery going around. We already know that our word and the Bible has been very much tampered with. So we have to kind of read through and be able to decipher where these errors are, and kind of piece together the things that go together and take out the things that doesn't seem right. So something doesn't seem right here. So with that being said, let's go first to, actually, we're going to go to Jasher 23. Okay, Jasher 23. Actually, before I go to Jasher 23, we're going to go to first Exodus. We're going to go to Exodus. So I'm going to show you guys this was not from the Most High. The Most High was not telling Abraham to do this. Exodus 21. Exodus 21. And we're going to go first to verse 22 and 23. If men strike and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall be surely punished, according to as a woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for a life. Okay, so what is it saying here? It's saying the importance of the Most High, that basically how important children are to the Most High, right? So it's saying here, if a man strikes a woman and causes her to pretty much have a miscarriage, right, it would be a righteous judgment to take life for a life. Why would he say that? Because a life of an innocent child that's precious to the Most High, it means much, right? The life of this child. If anyone causes this pregnant woman to lose her child, then that man shall be judged, right? Okay, so we're still in Exodus. Let's go to Exodus 23, verse 7. Keep thee far from a false matter, and the innocent and righteous slay not. The innocent and the righteous slay not, for I will not justify the wicked. So, the Most High said, the innocent and righteous slay not. Do not slay the righteous. Do not slay the innocent. Who is more innocent than a child? Who's more innocent than a child? The Most High said, do not slay your child. Right? Okay, but you know what? We're going to get to, let's go to Deuteronomy. See what Deuteronomy says. So Deuteronomy 24, I'm going to go to verse 16. Actually, underline it because I didn't get a chance to. The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. So that again is saying the Most High. The Most High is saying fathers shouldn't be put to death for their children. Vice versa, children shouldn't be put to death for their fathers. So everyone is going to die for their own sins. Everyone is going to face their own judgments. You know, no one's going to die on the behalf of anyone else. You're going to die for your own judgments, right? You're going to be judged accordingly. And he said in another scripture somewhere that, you know, he judges based upon the cleanness of your hands. So if your hands aren't clean or has many sins, that's what you're going to be judged on. You're not going to be judged for someone else's sins or righteousness or the lack thereof. You're going to be judged for your own, right? So he's saying that no child should be put to death for these things, right? So if he told Isaac to bring Isaac, if he told Abraham to bring Isaac forth for a sacrifice, what is a sacrifice for? Sacrifice for a sin, right? Make sense? So we're still going to be in Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 27. And I believe, 25. So Deuteronomy 27 verse 25. Cursed be that taketh reward to slay an innocent person. And the Almighty Yah said, and the Almighty Yah will say the people shall say hallelujah. So there, it's not getting too specific. It's just saying if you take reward for slaying an innocent person, for someone who caused no harm or did nothing wrong or caused not a dismay, you're taking a reward to slay this person, there's going to be a curse upon your head. There's going to be a curse to you. So, but let's get a little bit more deeper than that. Just bear with me, guys, because there's a few more scriptures that I want to read to you to let you know that this was not of the Most High. The Most High did not have Abraham to do this. So let's go to Jeremiah. (22). And we're going to go to verse 17. I had it there. Jeremiah 22. But thine eyes and thine heart are not but for thy covetousness, and for the shed of innocent blood, and for oppression, and for violence to do it. So the Most High is saying here that it is not of him, or he doesn't want it to be of you, to shed innocent blood. Again, what or who is more innocent than a child? Who is more innocent than a child? So the Most High is saying here to not draw innocent blood. So why would he have you do, if he's saying that the life, basically in these scriptures, he's saying that innocent lives matter to him. Innocent lives are precious to him. So what or who is more innocent than a child that can't make decisions for themselves, or a child that doesn't know any better, but you're the parent, or you're the guardian of them, right? And a child can't take care of themselves and things like that. So who's more innocent than a child, right? That was my point of bringing those specific scriptures out. But let's go back. Stay with me, guys. I hope I'm not losing you. Let's go back to Deuteronomy. And these scriptures are really gonna put the nail in here why it's definitely said that the Most High, this sacrifice was not of the Most High. Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 18, verse 10. Verse 10 through 14. I'll read the entire thing. There shall not be found among you any that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter, or with familiar spirits, or a wizard. Okay? For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Almighty Yah. And because of these abominations, the Almighty Yah thy Father doeth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Almighty Yahuwah your Father. For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of times, unto diviners. But as for thee, the Almighty Yahuwah thy Father have not suffered thee so to do. Again, let's go back to the verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire. Doesn't that seem like a sacrifice? You're not supposed to pass your children or put your children through the fire, which is make them a sacrifice. That's a law here in Deuteronomy. So why would the Most High contradict his word and then tell you not to do the very thing that he told Abraham to do once before? It doesn't make sense. He's not a contradiction to his own word. He's not a contradiction at all. So you have to really think about that. But let's go to Leviticus. Let's go back to Leviticus. And this one is really going to show you that it did not come from the Most High. Leviticus 18. It's funny how both of those are 18. Leviticus 18, and we're going to go through verse 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither shalt thou profane the name of thy father. I am the Almighty Yahuwah. Let me read that again. Thou shalt not lie with mankind. Oh, I wasn't supposed to read that part. Sorry, let's go back to 21. Thou shalt not let any of thy seeds pass through the fire of Molech. If you look up what Molech is, that is a deity. That is a devil. That is an evil spirit. However you want to call it, is not of the Most High Yah. It is basically saying do not sacrifice your child through the fire to Satan, to a deity. Okay? That is what he's saying. Thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech. Neither found his name. So again, why would the Most High tell Abraham to do this? Why would he tell him to do it if he had laws not to do it? He has laws not to do it. But he told Abraham, this is how I'm going to test you. This is how I'm going to tell you to do it. It doesn't make sense. The Most High didn't tell Abraham to do this. Maybe he allows Satan to tell Abraham to do it to see if he was going to do it. But I don't believe that it came from the Most High. Yes, the Most High has Satan in his hand, and he will allow Satan to tempt you. He's not going to tempt you himself. It's not a tempt when he does things. It's a test to see, are you going to do it? But when he allowed Satan to tell him this, it's something's not fitting right. You know, it's a sin. The Most High, I don't believe the Most High is going to tempt you to sin. He's going to tempt you to see, are you going to know Okay, are you going to listen to his voice? Are you going to remember his word? Are you going to remember what he told you? Or are you going to go forth with your own thinking in your own mind, which is free will, and that's Satan, to do what he wants you to do? Or are you going to remember what I told you over here? So I believe the instant with Abraham, he allowed Satan to say, hey, I want you to sacrifice your son. To see if Abraham was going to be like, no, why would I do that? The Most High had promised me a nation. The Most High promised me, seas as countless as the stars. So I remember he told me that. So why would I listen to you to tell me this? To tell me, But we're going to get more into it. So now, that being said, we're going to go to the book of Jasher, and we're going to see what really, really, really took place here. And the book of Jasher, we're going to go to book 23, chapter 23. We're going to start at 25. Okay? This is what was happening leading up to the sacrifice. This is what was taking place, that was taken out of Genesis, the book of Genesis. This is all the stuff that we need to make this connection here. This stuff was taken out leading up to the sacrifice, okay? So Jasher 23, starting at 25. And whilst Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan came to appear to Abraham in a figure of an old man, humbled and contrite spirit, and he approached Abraham and said unto him, art thou silly, brutish, thou goest to do this thing this day? Okay, so look at what this says. It says Satan came to Abraham. I want you guys to really, really think about this and really, really look at what this is saying. It's saying that Satan came along the way in the middle of of Abraham taking Isaac to the sacrifice, right? Satan came along the way in the form of an old man, right? And he told him, this is what the old man is saying, thou art silly and brutish, that thou goest to do this thing this day to thine only son. For Yahuwah gave thee a son in the later days, in thy old age, and wilt thou go and slaughter him this day, because he commanded no violence? Meaning he's innocent, right? And wilt thou cause thy soul of thy only son to perish from the earth? Doest thou not know and understand that this thing cannot be from the Almighty Yahuwah? For my Almighty Yahuwah cannot do unto man such evil upon earth to say him, go slaughter thy child. This is what they said Satan told Abraham. Don't do this. So knowing Satan and how he works, he's not going to come and tell you not to do something because it's not of the Most High. If you know how Satan works and how he operates, he's going to do everything he can to get you to go against the Most High. So how does this make sense that this is so-called Satan saying this to Abraham? Satan is telling Abraham the Most High didn't tell you to do this? Satan is going to tell Abraham, this is a sin against the Most High. Don't do it. Does that make sense to you? Satan's is good. So it says basically, Satan told him that this is a sin. This cannot be from the Almighty Yah. He committed no violence. And basically saying that the Most High gave you this son. He blessed you with this son. And now you think he's going to tell you to... he's going to tell you to slay the son that he gave you in your later days, which logical thinking, when I read this, I'm like, okay, that must have been an angel. This was not Satan speaking to Abraham. This is an angel of the Most High speaking this to Abraham and trying to get Abraham to not do this because he's getting ready to sacrifice his son. So this is the work of the Most High trying to show him, okay, Abraham, I see what you're doing. I see you. I know what you think, but I'm trying to tell you this is not me that's telling you to do this. So the Most High sent this angel to try to turn his face away from trying to sacrifice Isaac. And this is what Abraham said. Verse 28. And Abraham heard this and knew that it was the word of Satan, but it's not, who endured to draw him aside from the way of the Almighty Yah. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan, and Abraham rebuked him so that he went his way. So this is actually the angel of the Most High that Abraham is rebuking. He's getting it mixed up. He's thinking that this is Satan coming to him, telling him, nope, don't do it. But we just read that the Most High has laws. Okay, so we're going to go down to, we're still in Joshua 23. Now we're going to go down to verse 69. At that time, the Almighty Yahuwah appeared unto Abram and called to him from heaven and said unto him, Lay not thy hand upon thy lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest the Almighty Yahuwah in performing this act, and not withholding thy son, thy only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in the thicket of his horn. That was in the ram that which the Almighty Yah created in the day that made the heaven and earth. For the Almighty Yah had prepared his ram this day to a burnt offering instead of Isaac. And the ram was advancing to Abraham. Then Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thickness, that might not advance to Abraham, in the order that Abraham might slay his son. So now it's saying that Satan had came, and now he's trying to hold the ram that the Most High is presenting to be sacrificed instead of Isaac. Satan is holding this ram so that he won't advance to Abraham, so that Abraham can sacrifice Isaac. So again, does that make sense to you? Does that make sense that beforehand, if it was Satan coming to him saying, this is not of the Most High, don't sacrifice your son, now that the Most High made a ram available to be sacrificed, now Satan is holding this ram back so that Abraham can sacrifice his son? That doesn't make sense. So beforehand, he was warning you that the Most High didn't want you to do it. Now that the Most High is presenting himself and making it known that he doesn't want him to do it, now he's trying to actually entice him to be able to sacrifice his son. It doesn't make sense. So this is the last point that I'm going to make, that I said I don't think that the Most High, or I don't believe that the Most High told him to sacrifice Isaac. So we're going to go to Genesis 22, 15 through 18. And an angel of the Almighty Yahuwah called unto Abraham out of heaven the second time. Remember, I just read the first. And said, By myself have I sworn unto the Almighty Yah, for because thou hast done this thing, and thou hast not withheld thy son, that is the blessing, I will bless thee, and then multiplying, and I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand that is upon the seashore, and thou shalt possess the gates of thy enemy. So it's saying in the scripture that because Abraham did not withhold Isaac, and that he was actually going to sacrifice him, now the Most High is promising that he would, give him many seeds, as countless as the stars and as countless as the sand on the shore. But the Most High had already promised him these things before he even did this to Isaac. And I'm going to show you. So if you go back to Genesis 12:1, as well as Genesis 13, 14, verses 14 to 15, Genesis 15, verses 1 through 7, and Genesis 17, verses 1 through 10. All of these scriptures, for the sake of the time of the video, I'm not going to go through it, but I'll give you guys the option to go ahead and do this on your own and research it on your own. All of those scriptures that I just mentioned, the Most High had promised Abraham that he's going to give him, he's going to be a father of many nations. He's going to make his seeds countless. So he had already promised him these things. And also, let's go to Genesis 17. Okay, so Genesis 17, and we're going to go to 19 and 20. And Yahuwah said, Sarah thy wife will bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him a fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But thy covenant I will establish with Isaac, which Sarah will bear unto thee at the set time in the next year. And he left from talking with him, and Yahuwah went up from Abraham. So the Most High said that he had made this covenant with Isaac. This is before Isaac was born. The Most High had already promised Abraham that he's going to have this covenant through Isaac and the seeds that's after Isaac, which would be Jacob's. So the Most High had already promised these things to Abraham. So this is why I said that wasn't the Most High telling him to sacrifice Isaac. Why would he promise him these things and then tell you to sacrifice him when he already knew that he told you these things? So if Abraham remembered the Most High making this covenant, or the Most High renewing this covenant and telling him these things, he would have been able to decipher, okay, this isn't the Most High telling me this, because the Most High had told me already he's going to give me seeds countless, and he's going to establish a covenant through Isaac and through Isaac's seed that's after him. So that's why I said, guys, the Most High did not tell Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. It had to be of Satan, the devil, that was trying to get him to sacrifice Isaac. So there couldn't be a covenant that goes through Isaac, through Jacob, and the generations or the descendants after them. There would be no covenant. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. I thank you so much for bearing with me. I love you guys so much. Shalom.